Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with the Moore's Global Finance podcast team.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
I'm John.
And I'm Tiffany.
Today we're diving into gold IRAs and a company that can help you set one up called Patriot Gold Group.
It's a hot topic, right? With all the economic uncertainty these days.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
People are looking for somewhere safe to put their money. And, gold has always had this kind of mystique about it, like it's a safe haven.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason it gets a lot of attention during times like these. It's held its value pretty well historically when other assets are struggling.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is a gold IRA?
So a gold IRA is a self-directed individual retirement account, but instead of holding the usual stuff like stocks and bonds, you hold physical gold.
Physical gold, like actual gold bars and coins.
Exactly. Usually in the form of coins or bars. Think of it as like a mini Fort Knox in your retirement portfolio.
Okay, so I kind of get it, but why would someone choose a gold IRA over a regular IRA?
Well, a lot of people see it as a hedge against inflation, like a backup for your savings when the value of the dollar drops.
Right, that makes sense.
Plus, it helps diversify your portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, definitely. So it sounds like gold IRAs are for people who are thinking long term, not trying to get rich quick.
Yeah, exactly. It's more about preserving wealth and protecting yourself from inflation over time.
So where does this Patriot Gold Group come in? What do they do?
Well, they specialize in setting up and managing these gold IRAs. They've been around for a while, actually, since 1990, and they have a good reputation in the industry.
Okay, so they're legit. But what makes them stand out? There are tons of companies that deal with gold, right?
They've got a few things going for them. They're a PCGS accredited business.
PCGS. What is that?
Oh, sorry. It stands for Professional Coin Grading Service. They're an independent group that grades and authenticates coins, so it's like a seal of approval. Means their coins are the real deal, high quality.
Gotcha. So no worries about getting scammed with fake gold bars.
Right. And they're also known for making the process of setting up a gold IRA really easy. Like, they'll hold your hand through the whole thing.
That's good to know. A lot of this stuff can be pretty intimidating. So what kind of gold can you actually invest in through them? Do they offer anything besides just standard gold bars?
They have a pretty wide selection, actually. They've got bars, of course, but also a bunch of different gold coins from different countries.
Like those fancy ones you see in the movies with eagles and stuff.
Exactly. They've got American gold eagles, Canadian gold maple leafs, even South African Krugerrands.
Wow, so you can have a little piece of history in your retirement account. But let's get down to brass tacks here. How do you actually get started with this whole gold IRA thing?
Well, you'd contact Patriot Gold Group, open an account, and they basically guide you through the steps. They can even help you roll over funds from an existing IRA if you want to, diversify.
So it's not as complicated as it sounds.
Not at all. And they're known for being really quick, too. They can set up your account and complete transactions in just 48 hours.
Wow, that's impressive. Most financial institutions take forever. But okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the fees. Gold IRAs aren't exactly known for being cheap wreck.
You're right. There are fees, just like with anything else. You've got custodian fees, storage fees, and insurance, all that good stuff. It's important to factor that in.
So no free lunch.
Nope. But speaking of storage, that's another thing to think about. Where does the gold actually go once you buy it?
Right, good question. Can I just stash it under my mattress?
Well, you have some options. You can use a secure depository, which is probably the safest bet, or you can store it at home, although the IRS has some rules about that, especially if it's for your IRA.
So no burying my gold bars in the backyard.
Probably not a good idea, but Patriot Gold Group works with some really reputable depositories, like Brinks Global Services and Delaware Depository.
So my gold will be in good hands, huh?
Absolutely. High security, definitely peace of mind.
Okay, so my gold is safe and sound. But what happens when I actually want to use it? What are the withdrawal options like?
It's pretty standard for IRAs. You have to wait until you're 59 and a half to avoid any penalties, but you do have some flexibility in how you access the gold.
Flexibility, what do you mean?
You can either take physical possession of the gold, like actually hold the gold bars or coins,
I can see why people would like that.
or you can just sell it and get the cash. It really depends on what you need at that time.
Makes sense. Now, before we go any further, I think it's important to talk about reputation. How can our listeners be sure they're choosing a trustworthy company, especially in this industry? There are some shady characters out there.
Oh, absolutely. Due diligence is key. You always got to do your research.
Yeah.
But in Patriot Gold Group's case, they seem to have a solid track record. They have great reviews online from customers on sites like the Better Business Bureau and Consumer Affairs.
So it's not just marketing hype.
It seems like genuine customer satisfaction. They consistently get praised for their customer service and how easy they are to work with.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
But I've heard some people say gold IRAs are, illiquid, meaning it's hard to get your money out quickly if you need it. Is there any truth to that?
That's a valid point. Gold is a physical asset, so it can be a little less liquid than, say, stocks or bonds, which you can buy and sell instantly online.
So it's not the best option if you need quick cash.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a long-term investment strategy. It's about preserving your wealth, not getting rich quick.
That makes sense. But what about downsides? Are there any risks with gold IRAs? Things our listeners should know.
Well, there are always risks with any investment. The price of gold can fluctuate. It's not immune to market forces. And then there's the storage costs if you're using a depository.
Right, so it's not just a one-time purchase, there are ongoing expenses.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that gold doesn't generate income like stocks with dividends or bonds with interest. Its value is based on its price, and that's it.
Okay, so some definite pros and cons to think about.
Yeah.
Gold IRAs aren't a magic solution, but they could be a good part of a diversified portfolio.
Right. It all depends on your individual circumstances and goals. It's about finding that balance, yeah. Finding what works for you.
Exactly. So for someone thinking about a gold IRA, what should they be looking for in a provider? Besides, a good reputation like we talked about.
Transparency is huge. You want a company that's upfront about their fees and their storage options, what kind of gold they offer.
Makes sense.
And you want a company that's good with customer service, answers your questions no matter how basic they seem. It's your retirement, right? You want to feel good about who's handling it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about the whole package, not just the gold itself. So going back to Patriot Gold Group, are there any red flags or downsides? Anything our listeners should be aware of?
Well, they do have a good reputation overall, but some people say their fees are on the higher side compared to other companies. It's always worth comparing, doing your research before you commit.
Right. And they have that no fee for life IRA for accounts over $100,000, but that's not really an option for everyone.
Yeah, not everyone has that kind of money to invest. So yeah, definitely do your homework. Make sure the fees are worth it.
Are there any other investments that might good alternatives to a gold IRA? Especially for people who are worried about liquidity or fees.
Yeah, for sure. Real estate is often seen as a good hedge against inflation, although it can be less liquid than gold, of course. And then there's TPS, Treasury Inflation Protected Securities.
TPS?
Yeah, they're bonds issued by the government, and the principal adjusts with inflation.
Oh, interesting. So it's like built-in inflation protection.
Exactly.
You mentioned diversification before. How would you recommend someone diversify their retirement portfolio, especially now with the economy the way it is?
Well, diversification is all about spreading out your risk, not putting all your eggs in one basket. So a well-diversified portfolio, it might include stocks, bonds, real estate, precious metals, even some alternative investments.
So there's no one right way to do it.
Right. It's about finding the right mix for you, your risk tolerance, your goals. And it's not just a one-time thing either.
Yeah, okay.
You've got to rebalance your portfolio every so often, make sure it's still aligned with your goals.
So it's an ongoing process. Okay. What about misconceptions? What are some of the biggest misconceptions about gold IRAs? What do you hear?
Well, one is that they're only for rich people. And that's not really true. There might be some minimum investment requirements, sure, but gold IRAs are becoming more accessible to everyday investors.
Yeah, I can see how people would think that, though.
Another one is that they're too complicated to set up. But like we saw with Patriot Gold Group, companies are trying to make it as easy as possible.
Right, you don't have to be a financial whiz.
Exactly. And then I think some people just think gold is like a guaranteed way to get rich quick. Which it's not. It's a long-term strategy focused on preserving wealth.
Steady growth, not a quick win.
Right.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about gold IRAs, the pros, the cons. We talked about Patriot Gold Group. You even touched on some other investment options. Is there anything else about Patriot Gold Group that stands out to you, good or bad, that our listeners should know about?
One thing that impresses me is their focus on education. They have a ton of resources on their website, totally free. Articles, videos, even a free guide about gold IRAs.
So they're not just trying to sell you something.
Yeah, and they're pretty active on social media too, sharing advice and stuff.
So they're putting in the effort to actually educate their clients.
It shows they're committed, and transparent.
I like that. All right, so we've looked at Patriot Gold Group from all sides. We've seen the good, the bad, and the potentially golden. So now for the big question. What's the one question our listeners should be asking themselves after this deep dive? What's the takeaway?
It really comes down to your goals,
Yeah.
What are you trying to achieve with your retirement savings? Are you looking for peace of mind, growth potential, diversification?
Right, because there's no magic answer for everyone.
Exactly. What works for one person might be a terrible idea for someone else. It's all about figuring out what makes sense for you, your situation.
Absolutely. So if you're interested in learning more about gold IRAs and specifically Patriot Gold Group, we have a bunch of resources on the Moore's Global Finance website.
Yeah, we've got in-depth reviews, comparisons of different companies, all that good stuff.
We want to give you the knowledge to make smart decisions about your money.
Because knowledge is power.
Well said. And on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Hope you found it helpful.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time, happy investing.